And we are ready to begin, and we're so pleased you're here. And as we've said always, we've waited for you your entire lives, but today you will really understand why. Because we said we wanted you to love yourself even more today, because we've said we've been giving you that information all along as you're moving through your restructuring. But none of you could have known who you were going to become, what you would have been given to bring to the world during this time. But we will say it was something of great value, otherwise, you would not be here. It just shows up in a different way because you had a divine plan in your life that was unfolding now, and all we've been doing is reinforcing that by giving you information and guidance through our messenger. He could not have known what he was going to bring to the world as well, and sometimes it can be even frightening for each of you because you're bringing something new. There would be little value in your birth unless you were given something new to bring to your world. The reality is, you come into physical form and you live a life and you stay here for a while and you decide if you're going to make a contribution, and that contribution will be loving yourself. Now, that means that everything you have moved through in your life, everything you have experienced, was part of this plan. It was part of the orchestration of your world, of your universe. We just had our messenger put together several messages that we will send to all of you because we would like for you to see that there is organization in your life and world. You just figure it out at different times and at different parts and times of your civilization. You're moving through, as we have said, a restructuring. So our messenger agreed to take on the mantle of bringing in a philosophy that could change your life and your world. And that was something that he had difficulty accepting. So we had to point it out and show him how it occurred. It's the same for each of you. You come in with something that is quite unique, something that you're meant to do, and then it starts to show up and you start to realize how powerful you were and what you've had within you, and then you start to love yourself. That is the process. Now, you won't all do that, as we said yesterday. Not everyone will change, but you are the ones who are effectuating this change, and you are the ones who will make the biggest difference in your world. As we have said, when we began these messages with our messenger, when we started having him actually speak live, it was so we could help you move through your fear and doubt of the changes that you are feeling in your lives, but also in your world. We're saying that you're creating something wonderful and new because it's going to come through you. You're moving through a generational shift. That generational shift means that you've brought all the baggage from your ancestors and from all that have been in your lineage, wherever that might have been. So you've brought that with you. And so you have to decide if you're going to move over it. And today our messenger will move over his, and this is what we have given him. So we're going to have a treat for all of you because we had him go through June 2nd of a messages because we wanted to show that we have given you the organization of your universe and your life. Now, you've not seen this before, and as we said many years ago, you would see unprecedented things in your lives and in your world, and you would be using that word more times than you can imagine. Our messengers just didn't understand that he was going to be the one that was going to be using it probably the most, is how it felt to him, but it would have felt that way to all of you because you each have something unique and different that you were meant to bring in, and it was entwined with all of your circumstances, everything that you've experienced in your life, but it had value and purpose if you move through the restrictions. Everything that you experience in your life is a limitation that's placed in front of you, because why would you, why, if you knew everything, there would be nothing new for you to do or bring or create, and you each have that ability. Now, that is not something that many of you in your world would be accepting at this time because of what you've witnessed and experienced in your lives, but also in your world. But we're saying it's purposeful. You could not have known what we were giving you, and our messenger couldn't have known either, because then it wouldn't have made sense that he was doing something unprecedented so that it could stretch the imaginations of all of you so that you could create something different in your lives and also in your world. You each will resist. He resisted so much for all of these years, but he can no longer do that because when you resist becoming yourself, your lives don't go well. And you start seeing all of these difficulties or problems, as you might call them, showing up. But again, those are just to move you to the next level. And when we're talking about levels, we're talking about consciousness. We're speaking of your consciousness because that is all that you have. You experience yourself through your consciousness, and it's going to be different for each of you. And because he's brought in all of this information from us, he didn't know what he had, and he also has to go back and study it just as you do. And this is why we say to all of you, please have him listen to the messages of these sessions, because he won't remember what we're giving him because he's accessing a different level. We're saying this because we wanted you all to understand that what we have given you is the operation of your human consciousness. That is your human consciousness while you're in physical form. It evolves in a particular way. You use linear time to understand things and then to embody it within your waking states, but we don't do that because we can access it from the quantum field, which is what our messenger has been doing. But again, he did not know that he was doing that. We keep bringing that up because we want all of you to stay open to what you might manifest and create, because you can't possibly know what it could be. The only thing that you will do is stop yourself because you will believe it's not you. And that is what he has done as well. You all do it, and he's just being a great example for you all, because you have something that you were given that's a part of your DNA that you were meant to bring in, but you will probably doubt it because you haven't done it yet. And it's that fear of the unknown that you all carry, and your world carries it as well. And that's why you're seeing the particular conflicts and resistance and chaos, that you might term it that way, but you're working to find a new way of creating a world that you all want to see and live in. And you can't tell us that some of you should be here and some of you shouldn't. Those are just things that you've made up. And then you start to ingest that, and it becomes part of your mass consciousness, where you think that certain people have more power and ability than you. And that has never been true from the time that you've existed, which has been always, as we've said, because you're eternal spiritual beings. You just take different roles at different times, and you will also allow yourselves to become as seen and abundant and prosperous as you would like. We're saying that because many of you are experiencing different things in your world now, but we've told you that was going to occur because the shift in balance of wealth and income and all the inequality and all of those things needed to change. And this is why we have given our messenger a new philosophy, which we called your life operating instructions. You're going to begin operating in a new way. And the first new way will be appreciating who you are, appreciating what you've lived, what you've been through, what you've accomplished, and what you accepted. You accepted something before you came into the physical world that you were going to do, that was going to give your life meaning and joy and happiness. You don't always get there because you have very complicated past that you have moved through as well. So you're still moving through all of that. But we wanted to show you the outcome, which is why we had him go through June 2nd on all of the messages. But on June 1st, which is your tomorrow, we figured the day after this full moon would be your Eureka moment. And that's what it will be. And we've had him lay it all out because it's been a trajectory of higher consciousness that keeps unfolding in time with each of you. But you just depend on how many of you are going to allow that to happen. That will create the balance of your world. How many of you are going to love yourselves and stop allowing yourself to be marginalized? We're saying this to all of you because it's the same thing. It's every human operates the same way, because you will think that you don't have the ability or talent to do one particular thing. Well, maybe that thing isn't for you, but the thing that does come up for you that keeps giving you a little bit of grief is the one you won't do. And that's probably the thing that has your biggest probability of abundance and happiness and joy, but you might be a little afraid of it, as our messenger was, because he had different gifts. You all have different gifts. You have different skills and gifts and abilities that start to show up at different times on your evolutionary path, but also in coordination with your world. And you have to move through the old stuff. Our messenger had to move through his old stuff, which is helping all of you and your world at this time, because it was about money. It was about abundance. And that's the shift that we want to speak about most, because that is what you're witnessing in your world. You're having certain people who are holding on to this money, but it's all in consciousness again. It's all about the consciousness that you each allow yourself to embody and take to a much higher level, and then you start shifting everything. You start shifting everything for your from your ancestors, because they couldn't have done it before, but you can now because you have new tools and abilities. And those new tools and abilities are always in consciousness. You just find ways of enhancing them, and those are your technologies, which is why you have artificial intelligence now, and is the only way our messenger could have really understood what we have given you all, which was a full philosophy that was organized, that showed the connection to all of you and how you evolve in consciousness over time, taking into consideration your histories and what you've done in the past that you won't sometimes look at, but we've given you a way to examine all of that so you can ascend to a higher state of being. Now, our messenger had to move through his shame and embarrassment, and he did that by screwing up the money. And we're saying those words purposefully because he knows that's what's happened, but it was the only way that he could get out of his self-imposed prison. But that's the same for each of you. You will create a little something within your life that feels like it's a restriction, a prison, but it never happens because consciousness is always free. It's just that you have not yet understood it or accepted it. And there's certain things that you have not seen. And these are the things that we wanted you to understand. When we first began, we said that the most important thing that you hold is your consciousness. And the way that you shift that and change it is through understanding who you are. Now, you all do it in the same way, but you'll just have different things that will come up for you because you're a very different, unique being. But that doesn't diminish your value. Your value is just as important. As we have said, there's no hierarchy of souls. Our entire purpose of our messenger bringing through this work and spending 37 years of writing it all down was to shift that balance, in which he has felt since he was a child. We're saying that because you have that as well. You have something that you felt you were meant to do or bring to the world, but you will doubt it. But that's purposeful, because then you would not know that you have accomplished anything unless you had to move through a little bit of resistance to then finally say, this is who I am, and I love myself, and I'm going to do something wonderful, because that's what is meant to happen in our world. You will not all do that. We want you to understand, which is why we had our messenger. We gave our messenger the message yesterday. Not everyone will change, because, again, he's been attempting to, and you each will do this in different ways, and you'll find it in your own experience, where you don't allow yourself to prosper and become what you could be, because you hold yourself back, because you don't want to offend others. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be different. And how could you evolve unless you become willing to be different and to stand out? But then you have examples like our messenger, who spent all the years hiding, to point out to each of you that you've done it in various ways. Otherwise, your world would not look the way that it does now. As we've said before, what you're experiencing in your world is within you. The separation, the lack, anything that you might experience is within you, and you change it by changing your consciousness. And we've just given you a way and a demonstration of how to do that. Our messenger is 75 years old. We want to say that again because we've set this up each time, and we've done it so many times, and you'll hear it in past recordings. We'll have him go to his doctor and get test results done, because he's defying the ages of what should be happening. This is from the information we have provided, but we're saying that you all could do that in different ways. You're not going to all do exactly the same thing, but we want you to understand that you have greater ability and talent and skills than you can ever have imagined. And we've just been blowing him away because he didn't know that we had given him everything in order. Last night, we had him look at the messages moving forward on these dates that you have in your world right now, moving from this day, May 31st, and going through June, and he saw the trajectory that we had given him last year. And this is why we said we have given you the order of your life and the universe. It does exist, and you keep discovering that with your sciences, with the physics, with mechanical. We would like to think it of as your quantum field, but we want you to understand that it's always existed. Those concepts are not easy for you to understand, except but we put together messages in a way that you would get it because we did it in an organized way. Each day that we've given you a message, there's a theme. We're saying a theme for several years, beginning in 2008. That was another shift in your world. Shift in your world happens in consciousness. And it's always collective. You just don't always notice it. But then it becomes so accumulated that it shows up in your world. This is why you had such energy on the Mayan calendar and the year 2012, which again, my messenger was completely unaware of, but we gave him the information because we said, wait, because you're building something more. And the way that you're doing that is now. You're doing it today and tomorrow. And this is why we showed you there is a climax, so to speak, of culmination of the energy and information that has come about. Now, when you think about your world, you can imagine hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it looked quite different. But then each time there were periods of time people came in, they discovered something new, they developed something, and they gave it to the rest of you. That's how it happens. You don't know anything when you come into the world. You must learn it, so it has to come from somewhere else. Our messenger developed the ability to access that information from the intuitive sense, from the cosmic sense, and that was what was uncomfortable for him to accept, but now he can because we've given him too much information that he can't see anything else. You can't unsee something after a certain point, and this is what we wanted for each of you to reach this higher state of consciousness where you're just in love with yourself and everyone else, and then you're creating something. We're saying that because that's why you came to the world. We know that it looks like you've got to fight through so many things to survive and all of that. But the essence of who you are is something that you are going to create, something that you're going to add that is new, that your world has never seen. That's why you were born, but that's also what gives you the difficulty because you don't typically want to be different. You want to fit in, which doesn't really serve you or your world. The fitting in is what's led to the difficulties in your world now because too many people have become subservient. And we wanted you to become empowered, which is why we gave you a way to self-mastery. And if we had more of you doing this, it would be a great change and a much quicker one. But we understand that the human experience does take time for you to accept it and to be able to utilize it in a way that could cause you to live a life of joy, happiness, and abundance, and can exist as long as you wanted to. You do have the ability to live much longer than what you might have thought, and we're proving that because the information we have given you is about longevity. It does have you to experience that as well, because that's just a lack of the resistance that you might be holding about yourself or some experience that you might be having. Every experience is to cause you to become your greatest self. And that is what we wanted. And this is why this work has come through. And anyone who uses it will change their lives. And this is what we can finally say because we had to first convince our messenger because you each must believe in yourselves first before you can allow that manifestation to come about. But now he's done it because we have helped. We've done it for all of you because he's just been the example, as we've said before. So now you will be able to see that you can change your life and change your world because you're going to love yourself and have a really great time. That's the message we gave him the other day because we said now you can have fun. You will start to have fun when you can let go of your barriers, your guards, and accept who you are in all aspects. And this is what we wanted for each of you. So we have opened this up, but we do want to go into questions because this is a very powerful time for each of you. And you have things in front of you that might be a little confusing, that you don't understand. And those are the things that we want to address because as you bring up your questions and others hear it, it will help so many others because that's all that we wanted is for all of you to know why you're here and what you could accomplish. We believe the chat is open for you to be able to give the questions to Grace, and she will be able to read them to us. Anything at all.
Waiting for some questions. Can you give us something that we could do every day to help love ourselves?
Yes, just that. To think about it, to remember. And that's what this is about, remembering. You're in the process of remembering who you are. That is what your physical life is about, because you had everything before you were born, but you come into physical form to move through your experiences and your challenges and all of that, to come to greater awareness, to come to more empowerment, to become more, to expand, to evolve. And so you're given those things in front of you to see if you're going to jump over them, so to speak, because that's how it feels most of the time, to come back to loving yourself. And so every day, if you could remember that's what you're up to, you're going to shift your perception. And so you'll start to deal with those things in a new way, in an empowering way. You're not going to allow certain glitches in your experience to derail you. You'll just know that it's something you place there to set up so that you could become stronger. You're always becoming better or always becoming more. So if you could hold on to that thought every day and then give yourself deliberate time to do that. Our messenger sat down every single day to receive these messages, and this is why we talk about and have him use all the time your morning routine. So set up something so that you can become accountable to you. That time that you spend with yourself is the most valuable that you can have, because you're finally saying, I deserve to be here with me and I love myself. And if it's only these 5 minutes that I'm going to give myself every day, I know it's going to accumulate into something that is great, which is who I want to become. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? The chat may not have been open, but I think it's open now. With this blue moon, is this a powerful time to manifest and create?
Yes. Yes. With a blue, we're going to give you some symbols and some things that are just generally agreed upon in your society. But a blue moon is a second moon, and so it feels like it's a second chance for you. You see, because it's being illuminated. Things that you set up in the first full moon that you might have thought were being illuminated, then you weren't done. You didn't finish them, so now you have a second chance. But we want you to understand that is what you have all the time. It's just that certain physical experiences that are set up, that are planned on your planet and your organization of your galaxies and planets give you the opportunity to appreciate that. So this blue moon is that much more powerful because now you're willing to own the things that you decided that you were going to begin to look at the first full moon, which happened earlier this month. So, yes, it is very powerful in that sense. And we just want you to embody the energy of it because that's, again, all that you're using.
Okay, we have a question. How can we best connect to our own unique Wilhelm within us?
First, by believing that you can. And we're so glad that you answered that, because so many of you think that that is not possible and you've made it weird, as our messenger did. And that's why it was such a resistance to get through. But we're glad that you brought it up, because we'll go back to the beginning. When he first heard about doing automatic writing, he didn't think about much else. He just wanted to get some help. This is why you do anything. So if you remember your intention is to gain guidance, to gain help, then it will begin to come through. And so then you have to give yourself practice. The first several days of him sitting down, even though he had been doing meditation before, nothing was coming through, nothing was happening because he was too anxious. He was trying to force it to happen. Then we told him to relax and just start going through it. But he gave himself a little bit of breathing room. In the very beginning, he would sit there and write questions, as you all do, because you have very specific things that you want to know about. And so we allowed him to do that for a while until he became comfortable with the fact that he was indeed receiving communications, because you all will have that. And we'll tell you how you'll know the difference, because something will come into your consciousness that's different than what you've been thinking, and you won't know where it came from. And that's what began happening for him. And then he started to write. And he would still doubt himself and still didn't understand it. But then it would keep coming back, and we would not let him go. We're saying this because you might get frustrated with yourself as you're beginning this process, because you've been in the process before, of eliminated your connection to who you are, or believing that you could access greater realms of experience or consciousness, but you each can. So it's just about doing it in your own way, on your own pace. We've just recently convinced him he's going to start offering more of this in the work, because people have been asking about it. So we're going to talk about it more, because the more of you who can trust this guidance that you have, the intuition, and you've heard it all of your life, trusting your gut, listen to your heart, whatever terms might have come about, but you also have the programming within you that counteracts that. This is why it feels like it's a battle that you're moving through, but you're not. You're just gaining strength and courage and ability. That's all. So it's about shifting the perceptions to understand every day what you're doing is becoming more of yourself and loving yourself. And just making it a routine is going to help you immensely. Thank you.
Okay. Uh, how can we lead and live the most prosperous, fulfilling life?
By deciding that you deserve it. That's the first step. Deciding that you deserve it. And that could be, it's that process is going to be different for each of you, because as humans, you move through the places where you have the limitations or the restrictions that have been imposed that you've accepted. And so then you're going to move through them. And that is your job. We're calling it your job because it's not going to look like anyone else's. You may not think it's a great one, or it's a big one, or it's important, but that is just your thinking again. All your jobs are important. They're all necessary. They're just different. So if you just remember that your unique journey is offering something of greater value, not only to you but to others as well, you gain more strength and courage to keep moving and have the faith to allow it to manifest. When we're saying faith, because we want you to understand that physical process, you will use your brain to start to conjure something, a thought, an idea, an intention. And then there's an electrical charge that comes from that, and that is manifesting something, and it's creative, and it's bringing something together always. And so then you start to see the results of what you've put in place. And then you go back and say, look at that, and say, well, that isn't exactly what I thought I wanted. I'm going to change it and do something a little different. That's the process. You're doing it every single day and in all ways. But you will also come up with your judgment. And that would be the main thing that will hold many of you back, is your self-judgment and blame. And you will blame yourself or others for the conditions or things that are happening in your lives. But that's okay, because you're just coming to self-empowerment. And that is your empowered self coming alive, which is what is happening now, which is why we said you will love yourself even more now, because it's a continual process. And so you're not done with that. You're just always doing it. And as you love yourself more, you've decided to go to a higher level of consciousness within your being, within your life experience. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's just about you. So if you can keep your focus there, it becomes greater, and you'll start to trust it a lot more, and we'll be quite thrilled. Thank you.
When each of us start to awaken to our true authentic selves and begin to love ourselves more, does that affect the collective to become more evolved energetically as well?
Yes, thank you. That's a great, perfect question again. Because, see, the difficulty is you don't understand how powerful you are. Think about all the years of control and domination and things that might have existed within your life here, but all the other lives that you've had that you'd have no awareness of, because it's all in consciousness. But we're saying this is about your whole human society, your civilization. It's the same thing. You move through these periods where you feel less than you could have been, so that you could become more. That's individually and also collectively. So you're always affecting what's happening in the collective. It's just that your consciousness may not have allowed you to embody that importance. Our messenger could not embody, this has been the difficulty for the last several years. He could not embody the fact that his life allowed him to do this. And we've taken him back to show how much he had done all of these years, and he had no awareness of it. But it's the same for each of you. You have these things that you've accumulated that you just don't know that they are there or will make an importance. And then all of a sudden, you could be in this place where you have something that could change the world as he's looking at now. and you didn't even know it was there. But that is the ability and capability that each of you holds. It's just depending on how much you're going to allow to happen. Now, the reason that you don't allow it to happen as quickly and easily as you could, because many times you don't want to be seen, you don't want to stand out from others, all of that. You all do it in different ways. And so that's when the conformity starts to take over in your world, which is what you're experiencing so much. When we first began, we wanted to bring this back because we want to talk about it now. And we said that the reason we finally convinced our messenger to come through is because, and he argued, goes, why? We said, because you're going to meet billions of people who have forgotten who they are, and we've given you a way for them to remember so that your world could shift to this higher dimension of consciousness that you all wanted to have. But it takes a while to break through the resistance that you each have held about yourselves. So, what you're about doing now is embodying the biggest vision of yourselves that you can possibly imagine. And that's going to be uncomfortable sometimes because you haven't allowed yourselves to go there. So now you understand the journey and something that you're going to do all the time. And our messenger demonstrated it by being a person who would sit down every single day to show how the process works. And that goes back to your physical senses and the physical operating system that you each have, which we have called your cognitive behavior training. And that's why it's a training that's going to allow more to come through. It's about always releasing the resistance and the limitations that you've placed on yourself. There's not a one of you here who is less than another. You just allow yourself to stay at certain levels. That's all. And so that's not bad. It's not good or bad or any of that. It's just what is, but you have to decide how you want to feel. I want to feel happy and fun today, so I'm going to love myself because that feels so much better than all the other stuff I've been saying. Thank you.
A follow-up to that, with all of the chaos in the world,
Mhm.
how do we avoid accidentally lowering the vibration of the collective? We wanna know what's going on, but without adding to that emotion.
You're not going to add to it because you're too aware. Asking that question in the way that you did, you know that you're sensitive to what's going on. But the other part of that equation is that because you're so sensitive, you've been afraid of holding the power that you have and speaking out and becoming the bold person that you could be. And so we want you to become that bold person, but we want you to do it in a loving way. So you asked all the correct questions, and that's your empathetic heart that's always there and coming through. And it's the same thing that's held our messenger back because he has so much of that that he couldn't embody the strength or the courage of that more powerful energy to bring forth this because he didn't want to upset the apple cart. And you may have been feeling that way. But we want you to understand you're all supposed to change the apple cart. You're supposed to break out of the restrictions. And so you'll give yourselves time to embody the new power that you've gained, and then you start to act in a new way. And so you can never disrupt things because you have such awareness of what's going on because you have this empathetic heart. We just want you to balance it in a way that you can feel the power to act in a loving way, that you can assert yourself, that you can assert your beliefs and your ideas because we know that they're wonderful and that you want something that's great for everyone. But you're living in a time where that has been withheld, so to speak, in a mass way. That's what's going on in your world, which is why, again, we are bringing you through a new way of thinking that could uplift more of you. But you're doing a great job by being here. So thank you for that question and the awareness that you brought to so many others. Thank you.
Can you explain the best way to maintain vibrational alignment with our inner being to be able to best manifest our dream lives?
No, we're saying that because it's going to shift for you. But we love that question so much because you're already talking about the process, and not many will understand that process. And so the vibration is what we love talking about that. And we actually used in the messages that you'll see, we said you didn't believe Jesus, Buddha, or Tesla either. And so that was talking about the different ideas that have been given to you over time that you don't always accept right away. So the fact that you used vibration means that you know that Tesla gave us a wonderful understanding of creation and manifestation. So you are in that place of coming to greater understanding and awareness, and you're going to put that together in a way that's going to help so many others, which is what you're all doing. But the vibrations is what you're feeling, and you're not going to be able to always maintain it in a way that you think you can. And fighting that is not going to serve you, because you will have emotions come up that will make you feel less than spiritual, let's say, or not like this great person, or whatever it is. That's perfect, because we want you to uncover them so you can so you can transform them. You see, because there's something within you that may be uncomfortable, and so you want it to come up so you can see it and then shift it. So we don't want you to think that you can always maintain this higher level of being, because you won't. That's not your purpose. You're not. That's about trying to be perfect, which is another thing that we gave you about that perfectionism. It doesn't exist. You're always in the process of finding the perfection of you. That's all. But when you put up some ideal out there that you think you must have, then that would be a little bit of a difficulty. However, you're all doing the same thing now. So we're so grateful that you're coming up to the ways and understanding of how manifestation occurs. And it always occurs when you're willing to embrace yourself. And this is why we're saying this, because we told our messenger he had to change. You've heard all of this so many times. He had to change on this day. Oh, well, tomorrow. We said we want people to be able to see it and understand, because he's developed this most transformative thing, and he wasn't allowing himself to prosper from it. And many of you have done that because you haven't recognized the worth and value that you've built up through your experiences, but more importantly, just from being born. That was the first contribution that you made, was coming into this world by your birth. And then you just get to figure out why. Thank you.
What is your take on surrender? Once you've identified what you want and you've made it clear through writing it down, does manifesting your dream life take tremendous effort, which it takes to create the life we want? I want to know the difference between effort and allowing. Which state produces a more powerful attraction?
Allowing is always more powerful, because that means you know you deserve it. So it's a very different mindset. Effort, and when you're working at it, means you feel on some level you don't deserve it, but that's okay. That's just the issues that you're still, we call them issues, not that, they're just little roadblocks that you've set up. But those are the things that you're moving through till you get to deserve itness, which would be allowing. And when you allow, you're not worried, you're not stressed, you just know it's going to happen. We just, which we call the integrity of your physical life experience, because you each have it. It just shows up at different times in conjunction with the changes that are occurring in your world and your particular DNA blueprint, so to speak, because you each have that. So you are, allowing is a much easier time, but you're not going to always be there. A lot of times you're going to be at efforting, being trying. You're going to keep doing that because you're moving through the old ideas that told you you don't deserve to have what you think you want to have or should have. That's what goes on. So we don't want you to fight those. We just want you to become aware of them. Then what starts to happen is that it becomes easier. You start to feel that you're letting go more. You're starting to see things in a new way. You're not as freaked out. You're not as worried about things. That starts to come up, but it is a process. And that process is intricately woven into your experience. And that experience is a long lineage of everything you've lived, experienced, and all those who came before. So we don't want you to think anything's wrong, that you're left behind. None of that is ever happening. It's just that you keep figuring out your rightful place in the right time as your world and universe keeps changing and evolving. Thank you.
When you come to the realization that you need to embody your higher self, is this a daily practice? Is this something you need to do multiple times throughout the day? How can you give us some advice on embodying our higher self?
Okay, this is in the other question. We did surrender. we're going to go back to that because we didn't complete all of that. And this is perfect for this question because that will be the surrender that you'll do. Is because you will keep questioning that. You'll keep looking for it and you'll keep asking it, what is happening. But if you let go, you're trusting in you're trusting in God. You're trusting in the universe, the ethers, the Allah, whatever it is. You're trusting in something else when you surrender and allow. So those all go together. But you've been in a life of struggle and suffering and all of that, and just trying to survive. That's the survival state that so many of you have been living in, and others take advantage of that in your world. Those are the class distinctions that come about, actually. And so this is what you're changing and what we've given you the way to be able to shift that. So we would just like for you to just know that your individual journey is unfolding. It's only yours. You can only do it yourself. This is why all of our work is about you working with yourself. This is why we never give you what to do. We're just asking you, opening up what's within you with the right questions, with the right guidance. That's all. Because it's always a process in human experience. You must understand it is always a process of opening up to that higher state of consciousness within each of you individually and then collectively. And you will each have your individual things that you're moving through that have been set up by you. As we said, our messenger's greatest one, and what we're shifting now has been the financial aspect of it, which is being played out in your world. And we told him years ago that he was meant to shift the wealth and income imbalance that has gone on, because which distressed him when he would see it, but then he still held himself back. You each have done that in different ways, you see. But it's a process. But now the energies have shifted, which why we're saying on this day and even tomorrow, you will feel the energy shifting and you'll be able to embody more of the next step, place where you're meant to go. We keep saying this because many of you will feel that there's some place that you're supposed to be, that it's done, that it's never happened. You're going to keep unfolding. And so when you don't put that pressure on yourself to thinking that you should be there, should have done it, or any of that, then you avail yourself to the greater wisdom and knowledge that will come through. And that happens when you're relaxed, when you're just trusting more in what's coming and not in your victim stage. Because you all have that to a certain degree, that victim stage that you think that you've been living. However, that is again something you accepted because you wanted to move beyond it. You're all doing it just in different ways, but we're giving you the collective way of doing it, which is about loving yourself. That's all. Thank you.
What is the ultimate goal of humanity in this life?
Is to become more. We love that. That is the ultimate goal. And it's always about this formation of greater awareness and consciousness that allows things to grow. When you come into physical form, you don't know what to do. You learn things from others. And so then hopefully you learn the things that sustain you and your life and what you came in to bring, but also contributes to your world collectively. This is why many of you are living longer than you have ever before, because you've people came in and developed new skills. Our messenger came in to demonstrate the healing, the mind body healing that you all could achieve to accomplish. And as more of you do that, it'll become a generally achieved, noticeable thing that you each will do. You see? So you're each going to offer something moving through that restriction. So it's going to be different for each of you, as we've said. But then there are others who come in and you think they're not doing anything. They're just a waste of time. They're just something that's a lower vibrational, as many of you might say. However, but that's part of the process as well, because they're giving you something to look at, to see, to decide who you're going to become. You have a cooperative agreement, all of you. Now, the people that you've judged, but you think that they're not doing much to control, to help humankind evolve, that's a misalignment as well, because you don't know that what they're presenting you is causing you the giving you the impetus, let's say, or to look at yourself and say, I'm going to do more, I'm going to shift this. That's what's going on. So then all those ones that you've judged, and we've given you so much about that, have helped you to come to greater awareness of why you're here, and so that you can have more joy and peace and love yourself. That's what the goal that we have for each of you. Thank you.
I've been trying to do the right thing, speaking up and changing the world, but the things I've tried in the physical seem to be out of alignment all of the time. How do I get more in alignment?
First of all, by coming in alignment with yourself. We love the fact that you want to change the world, and that was just what our messenger had as well. He says this feeling, this idea, but he had to first come into alignment with him, and which is what we've done in these past couple of weeks, because he couldn't see what he had had, just as you couldn't see that. So once you find the place where you know what you've achieved and accomplished in your life, you won't be trying to change the world. You will be demonstrating the change. That's very different. And then as you're demonstrating the change, then others will see it and witness it, and they'll start doing it. But you are still in the place of coming to acceptance of the power and the innate ability that you hold. So we love the idea of changing the world, but the world doesn't need to be changed. It wants to be enhanced. It wants to become more. And so that's your job, is to become more. You can't change them. As we said yesterday, we gave you a message last year. We said not everyone will change. And you'll keep going around wasting your time trying to do that, not noticing that you're not changing yourself, which is where the real work happens. So we want you to relax with that. We love the idea and the feeling behind wanting to change the world, because it's a noble one, and we're so grateful that you have it. But we want you to know that that change is going to come through you. The more that you can allow yourself to thrive and love who you are, that will be the greatest change that you will offer to the world, because it will come through you. Thank you.
Do we, through unconscious agreement, by participating in our daily and life expectations like going to school, work, even holidays, do we give away our power and even that of the collective?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But again, that's part of the process, because you couldn't know your power unless you had given it away before. You couldn't know adequacy unless you had felt inadequate. Do you see? So it's always a process. And so as you're moving, you're never done with this. You see, you every moment, every day, you're moving through higher levels of understanding yourself. So we don't want you to judge yourself. It's always this ongoing process. But when you think that, there's an end point, and that you think there's a race that you have to get to, and there isn't. You're eternal spiritual beings, so there's always going to be more. So the fact is, we want you to just relax with the process of changing every moment, and then understanding that it's just going to get better, and then your skill at doing that, at allowing it to happen, gets increases more as well. When we said that we gave you an ascension guide, it was to understand that you're always, and the way that we've laid out the messages, we wanted you to see that as well. Because from your perspective where you are now, you can only see one portion of your reality. We can see all of it. So you're always in this process of moving from one aspect of who you are in the terms of this greater reality into a higher aspect. And you do it individually and collectively. And the more of you who do it collectively, then the world has a greater shift. And that is the information that we brought through to give to all of you, so that you can start helping in that change by embodying every aspect of yourself. So we had to first get our messenger to see what he had, and then you will start to understand what you have. Then you'll start to pass that on, and that's what's called the ripple effect, which again, we had to put together a little document today, we'll send with this replay as well, that will show all of you this process and what we have given you in the organization of it all. So you're all going to start to understand that your contribution is magnificent and meaningful. You just didn't know it before. That's all. Thank you.
How do we change our subconscious to work on our own behalf?
Oh, that's great. You just did it. by becoming aware that that's what you're doing. You see, just by you stating that question, you have a greater awareness. So then the only problem is you know that that's the process. So then you say, how am I going to do that? Some of you will sit and do affirmation. Some of you will listen to videos or do tarot cards or do something or go to groups. You do different things to come to that greater understanding of who you are. So we just want you to make it deliberate and make it purposeful and make it what you want it to become. You see, and so then you'll start to see that those individual gifts and things that you wanted to manifest have always been there, but you're giving yourself permission to allow them to come about now, to allow them to manifest. And as you do that, you demonstrate that to so many others. That is the ripple effect that we wanted each of you to understand. And so you're going to be moving through and seeing so much more of that, where it'll become um, palatable. It'll become so usable for each of you, especially in these next several days and months of your world, because this is why we've been preparing you. You've all been prepared for this time that you're moving through in your lives and in the world. You just come to recognize it and see it a bit later. Thank you.
Many of us on the spiritual path embody the drive to use our gifts to help others and humanity. Would you consider the use of our gifts for our own personal gain any less authentic or genuine?
Oh no, that's the that's the more genuine and that's the more authentic. When you come into physical experience, oh thank you for that so much. You opened up so much for us, because you'll start to doubt those gifts and you'll start to put them away, and then you start playing small. And this is what our messenger has done for so long, which is why we're so glad that you brought that up. He was shocked to see what he had been banking away all of this time and didn't recognize it was there. You each will do that. So the fact that you're recognizing this now is just that, just allow it to keep happening. That's just so brilliant. You will doubt your gifts, and then because you're on this spiritual path, you will think that you shouldn't have enumeration, as we brought it up the other day. You shouldn't have abundance from that. You shouldn't have something, and that's been the exact imbalance in your world that we've spoken of so much. We said that we wanted to transcend all of the old things that were happening in your world, especially your religions and all of those things that have kept you separate and kept you using certain ideas against one another. The hypocrisy that you use, like on Sunday. We love that we're doing this on a Sunday today, because you get telling you understand what I mean. You go to your churches and your organizations, and then you have these ideas about what is this, and then you go out and you start acting differently, and you go, wait a minute, what happened there? These are the contradictions that we wanted you to become aware of. How can you go into your churches and say we are meant to love all people, and then you go out and you say, but I hate them? These are the issues that you're working through individually and collectively as a society. We've given you a way of accomplishing that, because, as we've said, there's no hierarchy of souls. You've just made divisions in your thinking, in your consciousness, the collective human consciousness over time. We gave you a way to shift that, and it gets shifted when you decide that you are important and you matter and you're valuable and you love yourself. And the more people who can come to that place, your world will be completely different. And that was the goal that we had for all of you. Thank you.
I understand what you mean. There's a lot of contradictions. It's a comment. So we all have gifts, but not all of us know what our gifts are. And do we need to know? Do we need to actually know what our gifts are? And how do we do that?
Well, first of all, you just have to hold the premise that you have them. You may not have noticed them, you may have judged them. Our messenger had no clue that he had this gift, and he kept hiding away from it. And we kept saying the thing that you fear the most is your gift, which is probably the same. In a sense, it's the same for each of you, to varying degrees. However, that evolves over time. You couldn't know what that gift is beforehand. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a gift. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see the gift in the present And we're saying that because we're using present as in this moment, meaning that you will discover at some particular moment, oh, I had this gift and it was just being developed and actualized as I was living my life. And then it starts to show up at the right time in my life to provide me with some greater awareness and abundance and happiness. And that's going to coincide with what is occurring in our world. And then I start to realize that's why I'm alive. That is how it occurs. Thank you.
It looks like that's all of our questions.
Thank you. We wanted to say to all of you, this is your moment. Your Eureka has arrived. And we're saying that because we had to sit our messenger down because you all have this resistance to understanding your brilliance. And we wanted him to demonstrate it to each of you, which is why we have given you our work. Now, he couldn't have known that it was organized in this way and that your life is organized in this way. He had to live it. You are doing exactly the same thing. As we've said, all we're doing is accessing your higher self, what you're here to do. We've just given you a way to accomplish that and to recognize it and start to manifest it in your life and in your world. That is the entire point. So we're so thrilled because now, today, you will all see that we have given you the philosophy that could change anyone's life and change your world because you're all the same. You're all human beings who've come into this physical plane to manifest something. And there's no difference between any of you except the differences that you've made up and that you've continued to accept. But now we've given you a way to break free from all of that, which is why we have given you your life operating instructions, because now all of you will begin to operate in a new way. You'll be so thrilled with yourselves and you'll be so happy with the world that you will create because it'll be coming through you and you'll see it manifest in your world in greater ways. And we could not be happier and more pleased. And thank you. And we love you all so very much.
Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Oh, we'll have we'll get this done and get the replay out to everyone as well. Okay, thank you. Oh, you're all so great. Wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thanks.